In this video, I'm going to show you how to apply online for a primary school place in Lambeth for children starting reception. I'm making this video in January 2019 showing how you would apply for a place in reception for September 2019. But the system will stay the same for many years, so if you're watching this in the future, you can follow along and just adjust your dates accordingly. So if you are applying for a place in the 2019-20 academic year for a child entering reception, that will be for children born between the 1st of September 2014 and the 31st of August 2015. The process for applying online for a reception place in Lambeth for your child is simple. Each screen of the application process explains what you need to do, and there are guidance notes and tips on screen to help you through. But before you start your online application, you need to do some research. You'll want to check the local authority website for details about how all school applications are processed, and you'll also want to check school websites and read the admissions criteria for the schools that you're interested in for your child. You'll also maybe want to check how places are offered in the previous years, and then take a school tour of those schools that you think are most suitable. Once you've made your choice of schools that you think are best for your child, then you will need to start the online application form process. I'm showing you by starting off at the St Andrew's CE Primary School in Lambeth, and you'll see that on their admissions page they list all of their admissions criteria, and they also explain how to apply, as well as having links to the school admissions portal for Lambeth and various other documents. So we're going to start by finding out about this school, and then once you know that this school would be included on your list, we'll click through to the primary school admissions portal and we can start the application process. If you've used the e-admissions portal system before to apply for a school place for any of your children, then you will not need to register again. But if this is the first time that you've used the online application system to apply for a school place for a child, then you will first need to create a new account. So begin by clicking here to create a new account. You'll need to enter your title, first name, last name, address and an email address in order to create an account. So I will do that now. So I've completed this very simple form just to register an account. Put in my title. I'm using a made-up name. Obviously you'll have to put in your real name and all your real contact details. Home postcode, your email address, and a home number, a work number and a mobile number. And once you've done that, click Next. Then you'll have to pick your address, and I'm using just a related address for the St Andrew's School. This is not my real address. Then click Next. Create a password, which you'll see must be between 6 and 16 characters long and must use some of these characters. Then we have to go through these security questions. What's your favourite colour? Favourite film? Don't like that one. Name of your first pet. What's the make and model of your first car? Let's pick another one. And because we're all in Lambeth, Bowie is a good choice for that. And then we click Finish. And you will get this information. Thank you for completing the setup of your account. Here's your username. You're going to get an email any second with that. Please be sure to remember which password you set, blah, 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 blah. And then we're going to go and log in. But I'm just going to click over to the email to see if we've had a confirmation before I close that. It can sometimes take a little while to come in. So I'm just going to wait for that a second and then we'll come back to this. But in the meantime, I'm going to copy this and keep it somewhere safe and make a note of the security questions that I used. And then I'll click here to go into the next stage of the application. So here's my username and enter my password. And off we go. Now, as you've set up a new account, what you'll see is this message here. You've been sent a validation email. you must complete the validation process before starting your application. So we'll go over to the email address that I've used. Here's the email. And scroll down and click on this link. Now I can return to the admissions website. I've validated the account. So what I'll do here is I'll just do this and refresh the page. And that's now gone and I'm ready to carry on. Okay, so now the next step is to start your application for your child's reception place. Once we've confirmed our user details, which we just did, we're in this area which is just listing my personal details, and you need to click these two boxes here and then save, and then you'll be taken to this page where you will be asked whether you want to agree to have information sent to you through an app or texting. I would highly recommend that you do that, but because I've used a generic mobile number rather than my own, I'm actually going to click no. But I would highly recommend that you click yes to texting, and that you also go and find this Parent Comms app and download it, and then log into it using your username, which you made a note of. Okay, so this is where we actually get round to starting the application. So we click here, start a new application for a child that's not listed below. The reason there wasn't a child listed below was because we don't have an existing account and we haven't already put in any children's details. If you had an existing account from applying for children earlier, you may have added your other children previously. But this really is aimed to show you how this is done first time around for someone who didn't have an account. So we're on this page where we have to enter the details of our child. So I'm just going to go through and add the details that I'm using for my child who's applying for their reception place. So I've gone down this page and I've filled in the details for my daughter who is going to be entering reception in September. So I've entered her names, her date of birth, she's a girl. This is automatically ticked using my home address that we put in earlier. You will need to enter your council tax account number. These begin with a 5 or a 7 and are an 8-digit number that you will find on your council tax account. I'm my child's father. I have parental responsibility. There's a question about twins. There's a question here about whether your child has ever been in the care of the local authority. Does your child have an educational health plan? If your child's at nursery, you'll be able to click down here and find the nursery that your child goes to and enter that. For the purposes of this application, I'm saying my child isn't at nursery. If your nursery isn't listed, you can put the details in here. And here is where I can add details of a second contact. In my case, I'm putting in my daughter's mother. Once I've done that, I press save and continue. Now we're on to the stage where I add my school preferences. So this is where we're going to enter our choice of schools. And as you'll see, you can add up to 6. I'm only going to show you me adding 1 because I know which school I want my daughter to go to. But you should enter all the schools that you're interested in, just remembering that the first one you enter is your top choice. So the one you're most interested in should be the one you're going to enter first. And you'll see that you can use the button here to look for schools by using the map, so you can find places in Lambeth that are near to where you live. Or you can enter the keywords if you know the name of the school. So I could put in here St Andrew's Church of England. But because I know exactly what school I want my daughter to go to, which is St Andrew's Church of England Primary School, because it's local to us and it has a great reputation, then I simply search for it in the drop-down menu, and then I click Add this school. There's some more information about the admissions criteria, which you may have looked at before. You can still look at that there. And that just gives us the general Lambeth information. You can read that, but I know that this is the school I want my child to go to, so read through all of that for each school that you have. If you have another child at that school, then you would enter the information here. Some stuff about medical reasons, and this says that St Andrews requires an additional supplementary information form, and we're going to look at that at the end of this application for this school. Reason for preference, I'm just going to put very near to home and great reputation, and I just going to put that. The school will see that information later on when they go through the applications, so that's relevant. Oh, I forgot, I have to say whether there's a sibling or not. And I also have to tick the medical. I forgot that you have to tick those. Okay, so you know that. Okay, so first preference is listed there. And you would then go through and you would add more preferences. So you'd add another school using the drop down or the map, etc., etc. But just for the purposes of this, I'm only going to add one school. I would suggest you add other schools, but in my case, I would keep St Andrews Church of England as my first preference. You may add a number of other schools underneath. You've only selected one school, but it's selected 6, no problem. You can go back and add further schools, not a problem, but for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to. Continue. Now you see I'm 98% complete. Here's the details of my child. Here's my details. Our first preference school. You may well see a number more of other schools here. You'll see that this tells me, reminds me I've got to hand in the supplementary information form. Things I need to check. Make sure I've checked the school's admissions policy, listed schools in preference order, completed all the relevant sections of this application, etc., etc. And then there's this declaration. By submitting this form, I agree to the following, which you should read. I've read and accepted these. And then I submit the application. And then you will see this, and now I know that I have completed my application for my child for entry into reception. Now in this case, I have to go back to the St Andrews site and get the supplementary admissions form. So on the St Andrews site, you'll see that there is a supplementary admissions form here. I just click here to download that form. And you'll need to print this out and hand it in at the school office at St Andrews, K Road, Stockwell. And it's just very simple. This bit's for the school office use. You just, again, you fill in the name of your child, date of birth, and a whole bunch of details. The school like to have this information. It's additional, as you'll see. It was more information than was put into the Lambeth online application. In the case of St Andrews Church of England, they want to know if you're a member of a church. They have children of all faiths, and although it's a Church of England school, you do not have to be a Church of England follower in order for your child to go to the school. In fact, the majority of their children are not. Other further information goes in here, and you simply print that out, fill that in, and then send that to the school or drop it in before the deadline, which in 2019 is the 15th of January. But the critical piece that you've already done is the online application. So just heading back to the online application form, you'll see that we have that confirmation, and there's a reminder here about having to hand in your additional information form, which also has to be in before the 15th of January. Again, if you're watching this in future years, that will be a different date. So you've done. Just remember that you might want to keep a record of your information here, your username, and that password and the other stuff you did, the other password questions, in case you need to log in. And you can go into this system, make your application, and then go and add other schools later on. But you need to make sure that you've got this done before the deadline in order to ensure that your child gets the reception place in Lambeth, and hopefully the reception place at your choice of school. Just one last thing, I'm going to show you that you want to make sure that you receive this confirmation of your application in your email, just to make sure that you don't have a spam filter or something like that in your email system. So just go back to your email and check that you received an email like this, confirmation of admissions application. This has got your reference number, And this is one of the ways in which you can be contacted when the school places are handled out later on in the year. So you want to make sure that this is finding its way to your inbox and that you've got a confirmation about your email, in your email, that your application went through. So as I say, I've been showing you how to apply using St Andrew's Church of England Primary School as our example, but the most important thing is that you need to get your application in before the deadline, and you need to do it online and make sure that you submit any other secondary forms direct to the school. That's it. Good luck getting the place for your child for reception.